Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the EdSales Edge Live. You know, this truly, really does remind me of live TV, where I'm pressing a button to make sure I'm using the right microphone. Sam, classic talent, the guy has talent. Rolls up onto the set as we're going live. You're playing the John Gamba role. That's great. That's not a bad role. It's good to be John Gamba. And we'll introduce Sam and talk more about that. Alvin is producing in the background. Alvin, give me the sign that we are live across all of our platforms, and then I'll know it's not just you, me, and Sam hanging out, although we make a nice trio. Um, we're going to talk to Sam about today is the fact that him and his business partner Michael they've got 9 pilots going. That's the hook. That's what we call a nice hook, Sam. But most of the folks that we are working with are trying to earn trust from schools before they really have the right schools in place. And the truth is, as you and I know, Sam, schools, they don't buy programs. They pilot what their leadership feels is their vision. And so I'm going to stop there and have you kind of introduce yourself and talk about Mediator Spark, and then talk about this idea that the pilots you got are because of the leadership was aligned with your mission. Talk about it, please. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me here. And just a little bit about Mediator Spark. My background is as a middle school educator, so I love that age. And Mediator Spark serves specifically at this stage middle schools, and we help middle school leaders to implement peer mediation programs where they train their students to resolve conflicts for their classmates before issues escalate, improving the school's culture, empowering students. And a big reason that we do that is because we believe that when you give schools the tools that they need to equip students in this really important area, it has huge impacts for the school, but then also it prepares students to be peacemakers for life. And it is an investment into their future relationships, into the communities that they're a part of, the workplaces that they go into. And so that's why we're excited about that vision. Peer mediation itself is not something that we invented. It's been around for a while in schools, and some people have had success with it, some schools not so much. From being in a school myself as a middle school educator, I saw that there were significant gaps in what was being provided in terms of support to schools. And the 3 biggest gaps that I saw with implementing peer mediation programs were that just the level of support was not comprehensive enough, where schools were all throughout the year getting coaching and support on the different challenges that came up with implementing peer mediation. Another big gap was systems, that schools might have a company train their students in how to resolve conflicts, but then they're left figuring out systems on their own for how to schedule mediations, how to receive mediation requests, how to process them. And that was a big need that we saw for schools. So I knew that to meet that need, I wouldn't be able to do it based on my limited skill set. And that's why, as you know, Mike is a software engineer, my co-founder. Now we have a third co-founder, Esther. But I reached out to Mike because I knew he was a great guy, but also because he can code. So that's the systems part. And then sustainability. We saw that peer mediation was often dependent on a cohort of students that was trained, and then when they graduated, the knowledge would leave the school. And so we realized that we needed to focus. To be able to serve the students well, we actually had to focus on the staff and giving them the knowledge on how to be able to resolve conflicts, but also how to operate the program in the school. And then I guess the follow-up question was just how did we get in touch with our first principals. So yeah, a big part of it was the signature solution which you helped us to create was very transformative. Being able to show schools from step A to step B, here's how you can get this transformation, and here are the 9 steps along the way where you'll experience kind of a mini transformation along the way. And yeah, we understood early on that those 9 steps had to be about the person that we were speaking to on our calls. It had to be about the administrator, the principal who wanted to see their students empowered and their culture transformed. And that was a big shift for us, just learning how to speak to them and how to create a transformative journey for them. Because our default, I think, always is like, how do we make this transformative for the students? So you have to kind of turn that off a little bit and indirectly get that by making it transformative for the decision maker.
Yeah, it's that is one of those aha moments that seems to happen around the 6th or 7th week of every cohort. And by the way, today we started cohort number 13. We've
Nice.
got 8 wonderful companies, and they will probably have that aha moment when we realize that the offer in the education space really needs to be directed and crafted for the adult in the room, and it's less about the kids. Um, but let's talk about those adults in those 9 schools. Um, when you were starting with us in the EdSales Elevation Experience and you were kind of beginning to think about perfect client messaging offer, who were you thinking about, and how did that shift along the way too?
Yeah, we were thinking about whether we would go from kind of the bottom up or the top down. So, bottom up, we were thinking, should we reach out directly to the person who is going to be the one on the ground leading the program in the school, which is usually the counselor or the social worker or the restorative practice coordinator for the school? And should we reach out to them since they're going to be the ones implementing it, and then they'll be our champions with the principal? And the other approach was, do we reach out to the principal and then get them on board, and then they pick somebody from the school to lead it? And most people told us definitely bottom up, get your champions, like make sure you got them. And we're like, all right, let's do it. But we just realized that it might be different for different programs. Maybe if you're like a math curriculum and it's like all principals are going to be into math, it might be different. For us, we have a more kind of specific uh, approach that requires a certain approach to things like discipline and restorative practices.
Mm-hmm.
And so uh, there are principles who just don't align, and it's not that they're wrong or we're right. It's just it doesn't fit kind of what they're looking for in terms of what they want to build their culture on. And so we realized that if we find social workers and counselors who are excited, but their principals are not, it goes nowhere, and it just everybody just leaves feeling discouraged. We also found that if you find a principal who is passionate about student empowerment and conflict resolution, you better believe they're going to find somebody,
Mm-hmm.
some counselor, some social worker that might not be as excited as them in the beginning, but they will get into it more as it develops. So we tried bottom up first, it didn't work as well, and we switched to just focusing on finding principals who aligned with our vision.
Right. For those of you who are listening across any of these platforms, feel free to hop into the chat, say where you are, talk about your company, give us your LinkedIn profile, we'll connect. What was never in question, though, was middle school, that you were aiming at middle school. And from my personal experience, I remember middle school to be a very turbulent time. I remember fights happening. And I went to school in Montgomery County, Maryland. It's pretty pretty good county. Um, I also did a lot of work in the after school space at middle schools, and that was challenging because middle school for most families, especially when it comes to PTAs, it's just they're just passing through. It's only 2 or 3 years, so we're not going to plant our roots here. But the fact that you are focused on middle school and not many people are, to me, is an advantage. So talk about why you chose middle schools to bring Mediator Spark.
Yeah, I think there's two main reasons. One is that the middle school years are full of challenges and all kinds of weird, transitions, but also
Oof.
a lot of potential. And it aligns well with what we're trying to do, where you are kind of in the sweet spot of, for students at this age, school is still central. It's not like they have a thriving social life outside of school where maybe conflicts happen and then they get resolved there as they would in high school. You also have conflicts still being shared with staff because they just, especially in the sixth grade, they just can't keep it to themselves. The staff find out. But you have more independence and autonomy and capability of students to take on complex tasks like helping other people resolve their conflicts, which you can have in elementary school, but it's just on a simpler level. So we felt like this was a good sweet spot. And then just the reality was that I had only taught in a middle school setting. So I was only uniquely familiar with the middle school mindset. And at least in the start, I didn't want to try to overextend myself and to think that I could understand high schoolers or elementary school students on the same level as middle schoolers. And I think just in general, it's, if you can ever be a specialist in something, it makes you more valuable. And so we felt very comfortable about just becoming specialists, at least for now, in middle school student-led conflict resolution.
I think my problem was, and my parents could definitely amplify this, is that I had too much of a thriving social life and I didn't give a crap about school. And so that's what got me into trouble in middle school
Mm.
and general high school and college as well. I was consistent at least. Um, when your offer is clear, the conversation gets much more simple. And you can talk about different components about what you guys do. But with your clear offer and the principals that you're talking to who need what you need, trust forms very quickly. When did you start realizing, wow, like our messaging is resonating? People are getting this before we even, finish what we're saying. When did that start to like feel inside of you?
I think when we started having, when we switched over to reaching out to principals directly, and we started our pilot conversations in kind of end of May, start of June, when principals were still in the building, but students were out in most schools around the country, and they had time to talk to us. So it was really great timing. But yeah, I I wanted to see, are there principals all across the country that have like a glimmer in their eye and are, a little bit idealistic about what can students do in their school. And so it was really encouraging to see when we had those conversations that there were principals that like really believed students could be empowered to do that. And when we started seeing like, oh, they believe that, then we were like, we offer that, and there was great resonance.
Yeah. Building a business is not always easy, especially
Yeah,
when you're building it from home, especially when
right.
you have a crying baby. you
Yep.
know?
Sorry, everybody.
It's so good, man. I realize that you kind of have that divider in back of you, and
Yeah.
it could very well happen that my wife might walk out from here. And the last 3 days, our daughter's been home from school, and at one point, one of the LinkedIn lives I was on, uh, she crawled across because she thought that the camera just went, this way. And there she's there crawling back and forth, crawling. I'm like, they can see you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it,
That's the reality of life. Sorry, everybody, for the crying in the background.
it's
The
all good.
divider, is just a part of my office nowadays.
It's
I
all
have had it fall on a call with a client,
nice.
and you gotta roll with it,
You
and
gotta
just make
roll
it
with it, man.
sees the messy room and the divider now on top of you. So
So let's just say this is one of the challenges of work from home. Talk to me about some of the challenges of working in the schools that you are now. You now have these 9 pilots. What are the new challenges? I always think when business grows, and we're experiencing this in our own business, that you always want growth, and then everything feels shaky in that growth when you get there. So it's exciting, but it's also a new level. So let's talk about the challenges of 9 pilots and what you've experienced there.
I think a challenge is looking ahead, and like you said, knowing that if the company is to grow, there needs to be a different level of magnitude next year, not just 9, but beyond that. And so taking steps to move towards that goal, but at the same time, not leaving our schools behind. These schools have to succeed. And so one of the challenges is the tension of looking forward, but still staying present here, because there's a lot of work that needs to be done in the first year of building a company in terms of just providing the materials and the coaching that our schools need. So definitely feel that challenge.
Jill Downey, who's has been a member of Chess for Life, she said, "I share a home office with my husband." So I think we all know the challenges of the work from home. So that resonates with all of us. So
Definitely.
Sam, um, talk about, please, what looks like success for you guys going into next year, which kind of starts like a couple weeks ago,
Yeah, right.
because we've got to be getting ready for fall of 2026. So what does success look like for you and the team going into next year?
Yeah, we're as of now accepting 30 new schools for next year. And so for us, we would love to, yeah, to have that new cohort while retaining our current schools so we can continue to serve them and continue to see them flourish.
In terms of finding those 30, how are you going about that to get those 30 new ones? And then let's talk about the other side, because that's an important part as well. How are you going about retaining the current ones you have?
Yeah. So uh, to look for new schools, we've tried different things, and there's still marketing channels that we have to develop. We did a lot of work on LinkedIn, which was very helpful for building credibility that you really guided us through. We didn't really know our way around LinkedIn too well. And that, I think, has set us up for long-term relationships. Personally, just for our business, we ended up putting our main focus into Facebook
Hmm.
ads, and that worked really well for us. And it was really interesting. We were doing well in the summer with Facebook ads, and then all of a sudden they stopped, and just not that they weren't delivering as well. It's just like nothing was happening.
Hmm.
And we realized that Facebook had, this is, I think, just helpful for people to know. a major update recently called the Andromeda update, whereas in the past you could just put in somebody's job title, like, and they would be able to present the ad to that person. With this new update, now Facebook's AI algorithm relies on a high level of creative diversity that you put into your ads, and then Facebook basically says, like, you're not going to pick who, like, we're going to decide who to show this to based on the signals that you give us in the images that you create, the ad copy that you write. And so fortunately we were able to get over that and to be able to have those conversations again on Facebook with our principals, but it was definitely a challenging time. I do think for anybody who clearly knows their customer, I think Facebook still has a lot of potential for reaching.
Well, cool. I've always been hesitant on Facebook and Instagram, but I'm certainly open to it. I think one of my hesitations has always been the fact that they do seem to kind of change how they do things, and then
Oh yeah,
you have to improvise and adjust. And it sounds
for
like
sure.
you guys did. I'm not surprised. Um, so let's talk about the other side of that then.
The
Retention.
retaining, right?
It's not
Yeah,
good
that was
at
the
getting.
second
If you
part.
get 30 and lose 10, who cares? How do you
Yeah.
retain?
So we basically decided that it's our priority for these pilot schools to keep them and for them to succeed. And that's going to be our priority for all schools, but especially for this group. So, in terms of retaining them, we have strived to provide really excellent customer service. We've tried to make sure that they know that they're partners with us in shaping this program. We've been transparent about, hey, this is the first year. It's going to be a little rough sometimes, but the benefit is that the feedback that you give us will have a large impact on how this program is shaped. And I think they've been really great in just understanding and showing us grace and then giving their feedback. So yeah, those, customer service, inviting them to partner with you in shaping the program, and then I think also, making sure that uh, for that first group, as they are accepting a program that is in its first year, the price should reflect that, that they took a little bit more of a risk than any other school will take in future years on a more developed product. And so in the first year and moving forward, I think it's good to, yeah, to treat your pilot schools well, because they started with you from the very beginning.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. The pilot schools are certainly about innovation for you, and I think you also find innovative uh, partners and principals. You also have to completely be aligned. And those 9 schools, I would think they didn't say yes because they wanted something new. They said yes because your vision matched what they were trying to build. And you guys made it very clear how you could help them. And you made it very clear that you are there to provide mediation support for middle schools. And when it comes to niching down, you have niched down, I would imagine, almost as far as you can go. And so for that, I think that's amazing. Um, to the businesses that are out there listening to us or will hear this recording, um, what's your most important piece of advice to them in terms of building their businesses and to keep going? What would you tell them?
Yeah, I think understanding, and I don't think this is anything groundbreaking, but just understanding, like, who is the customer that you serve very clearly. It can't just be a school, it has to be like a specific persona in that school and or in that district. and then, and this is really hard, but not loving your solution, but loving like the process of coming alongside your ideal customer and helping them work through their challenges. So, and it's not something we do perfectly because we're just like we love we love peer mediation, and so that's what we want to present. But we always have to check ourselves to focus not primarily on here's this great thing that we offer, but to focus on this person that we're working with and to just enter into their struggles and their pain points and to just learn to love that process, because then you're able to better build something that they actually want and will continue to use rather than what you think they should use.
Awesome. If people want to reach out to you to bring Mediator Spark or pull from your wisdom, what's the best way for them to find you?
Yeah, if anybody's interested in what we offer at Mediator Spark, it's just mediatorspark.com, mediatorspark.com. And then if it's anything more personal about, starting a business or challenges, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. My name's Samuel Rabkin. You can look me up and just find the person that you have Josh as a mutual connection with. And that'll be me.
That's cool. That's cool. Well, Sam, appreciate you joining. I would imagine that was a text message to whoever was in the house. So I hope the
Yes.
kid is
I think the situation is under control. So
if you need to mediate it, you know what to do.
that's right. That's right.
Seems like you did mediate it from a text message, but
I think that
all
was
good, man. It's all good. We appreciate you joining. And really, I appreciate everything you're doing at that middle school level because it was a turbulent time.
Yeah.
So, you're helping a group of young adults who are trying to find their way. And you've been a wonderful member of our community. And so we appreciate that.
And thank you, Josh. I'm very grateful for your help with us solidifying the signature solution, always giving advice and just being a positive input in our business. So thank you for that and for your friendship.
Appreciate it, man. We are totally aligned on that. So I appreciate everybody joining us today. Jill, if you need any mediation between us or between your husband, and you, Sam will take care of you. He does it with one text message. It's all good. Everything just goes away and it's perfect. So he's a hell of a mediator. So it's Sam. Thank you again, man.
Thank you, Josh.
And everybody, we'll see you next week. The great John Gamble will be back. And you can find Sam. You can find myself on LinkedIn. We're here to help. Thanks again, Sam.
Thank you.